Divorce was only the beginning of the true me with Anne-Marie Chereso. Life-changing event will have a profound impact on someone. It can make you or break you. I want to empower you, all listeners out there, that you deserve to feel empowered and let these events make you instead of breaking you. It's okay to break in the process, but don't let it be the finality of who you'll be in the next stage of your life. Separation, divorce, sickness, betrayal, hurt, you name it. Today's guest is here to empower you and show you how to make it out more beautiful. Welcome aboard the podcast, A Woman's Spark with Shanik, a place to show women how powerful they are and remind them of the spark that they carry, the strength that gets us up every day, a place to feel seen and understood when we don't fully have what it takes to get back up on a hard day, or when we don't have the team around us to feel seen and understood. This podcast is to help you heal and become the best version of yourself during the roller coaster of life. I want to build a community that wants to help one another and inspire each other to become stronger and more united as we were born to be. Today, we're going to touch on the subject of new beginnings after divorce. Did you know that most women experience significant economic and emotional setback after divorce, but many recover over time and succeed in rebuilding their lives, especially if they have access to proper support and resources? On average, women face a steep decline in household income immediately after divorce of about 30 to 45%. Although men and women experience mental health challenges following the divorce, women tend to recover at a slower pace, but often report higher contentment and happiness after several years. Success stories and routes to recovery. Many women rebuild successful lives post-divorce through the two main routes of repartnering or leveraging their professional and productive skills. So women post-divorce, they generally recover through involving into an initial period of economic hardship and emotional strain, but followed by a gradual improvement and often greater personal happiness, with outcomes strongly influenced by support systems and individual empowerment. So on today's show, we're going to welcome Anne-Marie Chereso. She's a relationship coach, an author and speaker specializing in conscious relationship and personal transformation. We're going to welcome her back after this short break. Welcome back to a Women's Spark podcast with Shanik. On the show today, we're going to welcome Anne-Marie Chereso. She's a relationship coach, an author, and speaker specializing in conscious relationships and personal transformation. It's a lot of tongue twisting, but she's a fabulous woman. She, particularly in the context of divorce and fear recovery, she's known for her work helping people move through fear, set healthy boundaries, and rebuild empowerment after challenging life events like divorce, separation, like I talked about in the introduction. So she shares her own story of overcoming significant challenges herself, including becoming a single mother during pregnancy and rebuilding her life and sense of self-worth, which we know we all go through when we go through a divorce or a separation, through mindfulness and self-inquiry. So please welcome our spark of the day, Anne-Marie. Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi, Shanique. How are you?
So good. I love your background and the detail in the wood. Somehow I think my mom had something similar when I was young, and it's just very, I don't know, it's very peaceful. I love it.
I like it too. Thanks.
So I want to start by giving you the floor to tell us about your story on how you told me about your divorce and all that. So can you tell us your story?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Oh gosh. So where to start? So I was 6 weeks pregnant with our third child when I realized my husband was having an affair. I literally woke up out of bed, shot out of bed. It was midnight. Like my body just kind of bounced out, and I heard this voice come through me saying, he's being unfaithful. And I was sort of like, what's going on here? Like, am I dreaming? What's happening? Because I've had that spark, that voice for years and years. Like you guys, anyone listening in, and I'm sure you yourself have had that inner voice, that one that's like talking to you, that you kind of hang out with, and but sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. And this time it was like really loud and really clear, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I called my husband who was traveling and out of town and, accused him of of being unfaithful. And he of course said I'm crazy and I have pregnancy brain and all the things. And I wanted him to be right. I wanted to be crazy and I wanted to have pregnancy brain. And I certainly did not want to be right that this was
Of
happening.
course not.
So I spent a couple of minutes in denial, but that voice was like undeniably affirming and strong, and I could not ignore it. So I like dug my heels in and I got real, I don't know, determined to figure this out until I finally did. And I, of course, was right. And, the next 8 months of my life was pretty hectic and crazy, and I pretty much spent that period of time in a huge state of resistance and control, which sent me on this whole journey of self-discovery once, our marriage really started to go our sep we started to go our separate ways in our marriage, which I wanna say took a while. Like, he moved out when I was 8 months pregnant with her, but we danced together for the next few years because I was so, unwilling to feel the pain of breaking my family apart and getting divorced and going through all this. It seemed insane and crazy to me. And so I just was holding on and holding on and holding on. And I just caused so much pain, suffering, drama in my life, in the life of my children, in his life. Now, it was a co creation. I wasn't the only one in there creating that mess, but it was messy. It was really, really messy. We burned it all down. Let's just
S-
say we burned it all down.
Separation and divorce is so messy. And when you hear of those situations where both partners are happy go lucky, and I'm like, what? There's something missing. Please add a little bit of salt and pepper to the reality of what really happened. So, yeah, messy.
Yeah, it's messy. But what I've learned is it doesn't actually have to be. It's it's the clinging, it's the attachments, it's the fear that makes it messy. I mean, without that, the happy-go-lucky people are like, "All right, this is just what is, and I'm gonna go with it because it's what's happening, and I'm not gonna, resist it." So, I really, really got to start to wake up to see how the ways in which I create messiness in my life is all from fear and conflict and attachment to certain outcomes. It's like my complete unwillingness to go with the flow of life.
hmm So, you're pregnant, 8 months pregnant, you're going through a divorce. What's your state of mind at that time? Because, I mean, there's a lot of factors here, but what is your general state of mind at that time?
I'm like completely freaking out. It's like, what is happening here? I can't believe this is happening. And I was really in a state of mind of blame. It was completely all blame. This is his fault. This shouldn't be happening. I was in a complete state of victim consciousness. And, my life was being turned upside down. Like up until that point, I had this life plan, how we all kind of have this life plan when we're
Oh,
wed.
yeah. Birth plan, life plan,
All the
all
plans.
the plans. We plan very well as women.
We plan very well. And what's that joke? Like life has a plan and God laughs or whatever that I don't know that quote, but someone out there listening knows what I'm talking about.
Like, I got something else for you.
Surprise for you.
Yeah.
So, I had this plan and life was going to look like this. And I was meeting all those markers for my life. And then this happened and I was like, "Well, this was not on the plan. This was not on the plan and this shouldn't be happening and I'm going to do everything I can to stop this. And the truth was, I, like, I just couldn't. There was nothing I could do to stop this moving train as long as I was in a state of fear, attachment, and control. And that's really where I was coming from. So my state of mind was really like resist, 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 no, bad, wrong, blame, stop.
Boy.
Those
Yeah.
were all the things I was thinking, doing, and being.
How long did that last, that state of mind?
Oh gosh. Okay, I don't know. I think I'm embarrassed to say. like,
You don't
um,
have to say.
but a lot of years.
Okay.
A lot of years, many, many, many years. And I would say, if the resistance was like 98% back then, which was 20 some odd years ago, I have to do the math, 22 years ago. Um, then if it was 98% then, maybe it's like 10% now, or maybe 15%. Maybe I'm, you know, deluding myself. But over the years, the resistance has really gotten smaller as I've grown more aware of how resistance and fear gets in the way of my own personal growth, my own evolution, my own happiness, really.
Mhm.
So yeah, it took a minute. I
In
was
in your defense, you were pregnant, 8 months pregnant, and then probably well, not probably, you gave birth a month later, and then you had your child to take care of, and all of that adds to the pile of
yeah,
being, hurt and feeling betrayed and feeling all the feelings that come, which are totally valid, obviously,
yeah,
and especially when you add all the hormones of being pregnant and giving birth and seeing your new child and crying over the possibility of what you had in well, all the plans you had in mind for
yes,
that for yourself and
yes,
your baby, which
yeah,
are
and my other
now
2 kids, the
and
other
your
2.
other 2 kids. Yeah.
So
So,
there was all those layers contributed for sure.
total state of mind, which was probably chaos, many years to get back into a better situation with your ex-husband. Um, what were I want the listeners to understand your before, the hardships and the tough parts before we jump into all the positive and constructive that you've done until today. So, is there anything else you wanna add just to say that, you have a big feeling that he's cheated on you, you find out he has, you're giving birth, you've got you have your children to live with. What are the next 5 years after that for you?
Yeah, it's a lot of challenges. We because he and I got really contentious,
Yeah.
um, we literally burned our life down. So we ended up he ended up losing his business. He was the sole provider at the time, which wasn't actually true. When we our whole marriage, I was the provider in the beginning of the marriage, and then he eventually became the provider, and I stayed home with the kids. But then, I'm a single parent with a newborn and 2 little toddlers who's been unemployed for a number of years. Um, so, one huge hardship is like, how do I do all this? How do I take care of my kids, provide for them financially, navigate this divorce while my husband's unemployed? He lost his business. um, he was being pursued legally, and he couldn't work. So, like, there was just all of these things that kept getting in the way. We, put our house in the market. I had to move, but we couldn't sell the house, and then finally it sold under bankruptcy. I mean, it was just like everything you could imagine going wrong went wrong. Now, for anyone listening in, I just wanna say these are hard things, and there are people out there having way harder circumstances than even I did, so I'm always keeping that in mind, like, it's always worse. Someone else has it worse,
Yeah.
but
But the feeling is valid, and especially when it's piling up, and one every other thing that keeps happening, and it just piles up, and it's like, "Okay, when is it gonna stop?" Because
yeah,
I feel like I've seen it all now, and yet
yes,
something else piles on, and it can be overwhelming.
It
So,
was overwhelming, and I was scared, and I didn't know how I was gonna do this and how I was gonna keep my kids, um, like, emotionally sound, I think is what's coming to mind. Like, I knew they were safe, but I knew that this was going to have an impact on them, and I was trying to do my best. What there was a therapist I had at the time who kept saying, "They just need one sane parent. They just need one sane parent. They just need one sane parent." And I kept that in mind all the time. It's like, "All right, I gotta stay, like, with my head above the water. I've got to stay clear. I've gotta be in a good headspace so that,
mhm,
I was this, um, safe space for them."
absolutely.
Because at the time, my ex-husband was not, you know,
Mhm,
it and at the time, I had all sorts of criticism and blame. Now I have a different perspective around it. He was just in his own stuff, but at the time, he wasn't really that for them. So, there was the pressure of what was actually happening, life falling apart, trying to, like, breastfeed, buy groceries, figure out how I'm gonna do this thing, and then the divorce, which neither one of us really wanted, but we both didn't we didn't know how to repair. There was no, um, roadmap for repair, and we were both really just stuck in blame for one another,
mhm,
and that was not helping.
absolutely not.
Um, so there was that, and then there was he going out of business and losing his business, and then we went bankrupt, and then there was no money, and
Yeah.
then there's how what do I do next? And then they're losing the house. So it was just like one thing after another for years.
Can I add one last layer? Because before we take a short break, did any of your childhood traumas get piled on, resurface whilst going through this? I'll give an example.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's something you've lived as in your youth, injustice, rejection, abandonment, because going through separation or divorce, it can dig into your childhood traumas at the drop of a hat. So did that come into
Well,
on the mountain? Did it pile up on the
yeah,
mountain?
I think it was piling up. It was definitely there, but I didn't have awareness of it at the time. The thing I had the most awareness of was I grew up in a family of 6. I was the youngest of 4. My parents got married very, very young. My mom was 18 when she got pregnant with my sister. They got married 6 months later, and, so she was 19 when they got married, and she
Wow.
had her first child, and then 10 months later, 11 months later, she had my brother. So within a year, she had 2 kids. She wasn't even 20 years old, and my dad was 20 or something, and they had a very strong commitment to staying together for their kids. That was their commitment, and my parents didn't necessarily have the most functional marriage. I don't think most of us had parents with functional marriages, and 65 years later, they're still married. I mean, they're still kicking. So,
Wow.
it's amazing that they had this commitment and they stuck to it, and that commitment really bled into us as their
Okay.
kids. Now, 3 out of 4 are divorced.
Okay.
So, we handled it differently. But that belief system is really what kept me in this dance, this, really destructive dance for the years. Now, we separated when I was 8 months pregnant. The divorce wasn't final for a couple of years after that or many years after that. Um, but I could not get rid of that story. It's like, you shouldn't get divorced. You shouldn't get divorced. Divorce isn't okay. Divorce isn't right. What's going to happen to the kids? What's going to happen to the kids? So I think the biggest little t trauma I had was this conditioning around you don't get divorced and you stay together for the kids.
Yeah.
And I really had to unwind that. There's a lot of other little t traumas that I experienced throughout my childhood, like we all do. I didn't have any really big t traumas, although Some of my therapists would disagree, but, again, it's all relative.
And
Um,
it's in the past, but they
it's
do resurface when you live something hard, so
Yeah, yeah, and it definitely all of those little T traumas contributed to the decline in my marriage. Now looking back, I can see the way I co-created, the ways in which he and I kinda got disconnected. Um, but, the biggest barrier was that story that you should stay together for the kids, and that story kept me from holding really clean and clear boundaries, that kept me from seeing clearly about what was really going on, and it kept me attached to staying together no matter what,
Mm,
which was not actually of service to me, because had I understood that being together or being divorced, they were both equal, neither was better or worse for the kids. Um, if the goal was health and well-being of the unit, the family unit, then I would have been less attached to, like, making it work,
yeah,
which would have meant I would have held boundaries much sooner. Um, I would have Yeah, I mean, really, I just would have held stronger boundaries much sooner because I would have been clear about what they were.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing your story. We're gonna take a short break, and I really wanna delve into the positive that's come out of that, so we'll be right back. Welcome back to Women's Park Podcast with Jenik. We're here with Anne Marie Chereso. She's a number one international best-selling author and regular guest on podcasts, exploring conscious co-parenting, emotional regulation, and authentic connection after divorce. Ooh, I love that. I love that. She's here to tell her story on going through a tough divorce and becoming who she was always meant to be once she found herself and got back up. Please welcome back Anne Marie. Hi, Anne Marie again.
Hey, 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 good to be here.
Yes. So I really want to delve straight into the positive because the title of the podcast is divorce was only the beginning of the true me. So I want to know, well, I want to know the true you. So what positive came out of this divorce?
I would say the biggest positive was it set me on a journey of personal and spiritual growth. And I did get to start to know the true me versus the conditioned me, the me that I was told I should be, the me that I thought I was supposed to be. And as that unraveled, I got to find out who I really was. And I think I'm still figuring that out. Like, I think the layers are always peeling back and we're continuing to learn more and more, or
And
I'm,
we
yeah,
evolve as well, right?
we
So we
love.
change.
Yep. Every challenge tells me more about who I am and who I get to become.
So positive, how like you said you're in 15%. There's only a 15% resentment. So all is good with your ex-husband and the children. You have a positive state of mind. What was your spark to get back up? To get
Um,
out of this turmoil?
you know, I don't know that there's like one spark, but as I said earlier, that there was that one therapist who said to me they need one sane parent. I'm pretty sure he said sane. Maybe that word isn't the right word, but that was sort of like my anchor. And I was like, all right, I have to choose to be this one. And I really, for anyone listening in who's a parent, who's a mother, who's given birth, who has kids, I felt this huge responsibility to show up for them, to be my best self for them.
Yeah.
And I was just committed to figuring out, what does that mean? What does that look like? And there were a lot of ways in which I had like generational trauma that I was carrying with me and I was bringing into my past marriage, my role as a mother, my role as a parent, um, my role as a woman, all of those things I had to start shedding and getting rid of to get to know and understand, like, what was really underneath all that and who is the real me anyway.
Absolutely.
So, I think one of the biggest positives was facing all the judgments that I've been conditioned to believe and shedding those and letting those go.
And who is the true Anne Marie Chereso?
Wow. Um, I don't know. I've never answered a question like that before. Who is she? I would like to say in this now moment, I feel like she is a someone that's on the planet just trying to figure out how to embody the essence of unconditional love more and more every day through all of her relationships. So,
Hmm,
the
I like
true
that.
me, and I think the true you, and I think the true all of us is just love, really at the
Love.
core.
Absolutely. And like we said earlier, we evolve, so we change. And the true us is yesterday is a different true us to today, and it'll be different to the one from tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
Anne Marie, how do you remain the best version of yourself today? How do you keep yourself being, happy and see the silver lining, beautiful side of being a human?
I try and remain as self-aware as possible to all the barriers and the blocks. So like I said in the first part of our conversation, um, all the resistance is what was causing me so much pain and suffering. So every day I look for where is the resistance today? What's getting in the way today? How is resistance interfering with me being my fullest self or shining my brightest light or getting, you know, what I really want from life or being who I'm here to be in life? It's not getting what I want from life. It's like what am I here to do and who am I here to be and
Mhm,
what's getting in the way of that? And the more I pay attention to that and peel back those layers, the more my natural self is free to come forward. So it's really about finding freedom from all those attachments and all the resistance that gets in the way of who you really are.
mhm. How did you constructively turn your divorce into your coaching career, being an author? And I've said to the listeners all the different things that you've accomplished since your divorce. So can you tell us about where you're at today with all of that?
Yeah, I feel like like many of us when we go through catalytic changes in our life, um there was at some point, there was just no choice. Like, this is this is the last road left, and so you have to take it.
Mhm.
So I as I said, I was a single mom. It was the 2008 crash. Jobs were hard to find, and I had 3 little kids, and I had to find a way to support them. And, the universe is pretty friendly, and a friend of mine called me and said, "I think you should take this, coaching program." And it was this coaching program with Martha Beck. I don't know if you're familiar with Martha Beck, but, she's a pretty brilliant, life coach and written a bunch of books. And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I have 3 kids that I've gotta support. I can't be taking classes right now. I gotta go get a job." And she's like, "No, I for some reason, I think you need to do this." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'll talk to your friend about it." She said she had a friend that I should talk to, but sign up was within 24 hours. And I was like, "I don't have any money, so I don't know how this is gonna happen." And lo and behold, I got off the phone with this woman and I'm like, that voice again, that same voice that came to me in bed that night came through and just like, "You need to do this. You need to do this." And I was like, "Oh, all right." Yeah, like, I'll
How?
I'll do it. Can you please tell me how? And, it just sort of it happened, the money arrived, I got supported. Within 24 hours, I'm in this course, and I had even so, I entered it, reluctantly, and I still had a lot of doubts and a lot of resistance moving through that program, and a lot of shame and a lot of fear and a lot of all the things, like, "Who am I?" I even remember a time at Thanksgiving dinner right after my divorce, and my family was asking what you're up to, and I had said, I'm taking this life coaching program. I'm becoming a life coach, and my brother's saying to me, "Your life is a mess. Who would take coaching from you?" And it was so
Thanks
harsh.
for the vote of confidence.
Felt so harsh, I was like, and the gift in that was I believed him.
Oh,
I believed what he was saying, and so he was just a mirror showing me what I believed in myself.
mhm,
But the real gift was when I started, before all this happened, and we were in that 8-month period where I was pregnant and we are trying to figure out if we're gonna fix the marriage or not before he moved out. I didn't tell anyone. So I was living sort of a little bit of a lie or a secret, and finally, when he moved out, of course, I had to start telling people. And what I remember about that moment was when I showed up really honestly, really authentically, sharing what was really going on for me, not hiding anymore. Oh my gosh, like, everyone was raising their hand and saying, like, "Me too. This is go I'm not happy either," or, "This is going on in my marriage." All of a sudden, it was permission for other people to open up and
mm,
share their stories, and it was a real light bulb moment for me. It's like, "Oh, when you show up, this is the impact on others. You're an invitation to others." And that began my doorway to, oh, I could see how this is healing for not just myself, but for others as well. And so, I still had to navigate those voices in the head like, you're a big mess. Who's going to listen to you? And later learning, oh, my big mess is actually my PhD, like that my learning, my life experience is the gift I offer. And it's what builds trust. It's what helps people see me as a reliable source because
well, you're
I trust
credible.
people.
You're
Yeah, you're
credible because 'cause you've gone
credible.
through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
For all the listeners that are listening, what would be your advice for the listener that is currently in that phase before the separation or the divorce, who is thinking, "Oh my word, I'm not feeling good in this relationship anymore. I don't feel fulfilled." What would you say to those, listeners?
Mm. I used to run a course called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And it would walk people through that process of deciding because you know, anyone who's out there struggling with that, I get you, I see you, I feel you, I know you, I've been there. It is a heart-wrenching decision, and it's not something that we come at easily.
Yeah.
But my advice would be to, like, really do the work of peeling back the layers of judgment around what's keeping you stuck and see do what you need to do to access that layer of love within. Once you open that door of love, the answers come through really easily and you'll know when the time is right to make a decision to stay or go. But I would say it is not a one size fits all. It is not a he's doing this or she's doing this, so out of here. Like, I don't I work with a lot of couples, just because a partner is cheating, it is not the reason to end the marriage.
No.
And sometimes it is. Like, it's circumstantial, but there is no 1, 2, 3 magic for
Yeah.
how to end your marriage or your relationship or your divorce. It's it's a deeper experience. So I think peeling back the programming of our culture and the conditioning of your childhood, getting all that out of the way so you can get aligned with what is really wanted for this couple, this
Mhm.
relational field is the work I think to do in this now moment. And it's not easy work. I want to say one other thing about it. I think my experience is we go to divorce and separation really quickly and easily in our culture. It's
Mm,
an easy out. And what I have seen in my work and my life, right, and I'm now remarried, is that a lot of the things that were occurring in my first marriage are occurring in my second marriage.
that's it.
And
There's a work that needs to be done before that because whatever is happening, whatever happened to your first marriage, and this is what I'm learning, he's a mirror of what you need to work on.
Yep.
So the cheating is not the end game. It's what was there before. And so what kind of work do you have to work on that he is mirroring to you, because it will be mirrored with the next partner
Uh-huh.
no matter what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. So it's like at some point you got to look within and really find your co-creation and your part and open up, expand, evolve. And what I would say is the couples I work with and in my own life, if your partner is willing to do their work and match you because you're in a projection field when you're in a relationship. So you're going to project all over each other. It's a little bit hard to see what's yours and what's his and what's hers and what's mine and all of that. But once you start realizing that this is a projection field and my partner is mirroring back to me exactly what you said, where it is I need to learn, grow, evolve, and expand,
Mm,
and you take that on, how is this for me? If your partner has an unwillingness to do their part of that, right?
mm,
Partnership. I do my part, you do your part. If
absolutely.
they're unwilling, then I often say, this might not be the best place for you to stay.
Mhm.
If you're committed to growing and evolving together, then I would say it's going to be hairy. expect,
Absolutely. If
expect it to be hairy.
if you can allow me to add to that, the mirror is, and we talked about it earlier, the mirror is usually due to childhood traumas or generational pains that have
Yep.
been passed on. So this is a good place to start delving into, digging into in your past to see, wow, okay, so I've lived this in my youth, or my mother or my father have lived this in their youth and passed it on to me. Therefore, my partner that I chose,
Yes.
subconsciously, I chose it because I needed to heal that.
Yep.
And the end game will be whether both partners want to fix that to grow together, because that partner is your mirror, but you are the mirror to your partner as well. Because it's
Yep.
not just a one-way street, it's a two-way street. You're both mirrors to each other's life path where you need to heal to better grow together or apart. Does that make
Exactly
sense?
right. Yep. It's all about healing.
Anne Marie, thank you very much. I would like you to tell us where we can find you and your work, and where people can reach you for your coaching. So please, the floor is all yours.
Well, I think the easiest place to go is my website. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes. It's
Absolutely.
AnneMarieChereso.me. You can find me on Instagram at the same handle. I have a free quiz on my website to help you discern your relational conflict. Like, what role do you play in conflict? It's a really fun quiz, and some other good free resources. So, I would encourage you and your listeners to take advantage of that. And it was really delightful to be with you, Janik. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really amazing to have you here. I like that we exchange on such deep subject and topic.
Yeah,
It's because divorce is not just unilateral. It's so much bigger, and it's
it's a lot.
not just, yeah, it's not just one end game. There's so many layers to unfold from that mountain that we talked about at the beginning. I
Yep.
really love that analogy
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah, it's a good one.
Thank you very much, Anne Marie.
Thank you.
To all you resilient women out there, you are worth getting back up and fighting for yourself. No
Mm.
matter how dark you think it is right now, there's always hope and something better for you out there, no matter what your decision is. This is it for us for today. Tune in every week on your favorite podcast platform. If you want to get involved with the Be Guided, Be Inspired community, and you want to share what kind of impact you've had on others, or you want to share your experience, come and meet us on the platform at www.beguidedbeinspired.com. Write us and we'll connect together. Let's change the world of women, one conversation at a time. Keep sparkling, you beautiful woman. Thank you very much. See you next time. Have a nice day. Bye.